And I'd like to sort of start off, my opening theme is you will succumb. You will go into the cloud whether you like it or not. And I'm trying to be provocative there. I'm sure some of you will disagree, but let me give you my reasons. What's happened over the last 10 years is that we've seen the fixed access mechanisms merge into a single broadband access. Wireless as an access system still stays separate, but those data functions have now moved out of the company and are increasingly in the cloud itself. So the things like services and storage and that sort of thing, increasingly businesses are using, and individuals are using that in someone else's data center. And while wireless may remain separate because you need mobility, what we're seeing is a unification of all the communications across your fixed telephony, your data centers, and your wireless telephony. And that's what I'm going to show you a bit about today. So let's start off by just looking at the process of telephony. You have a PABX on your premises today, probably, and that's moving to a hosted telephony server in the cloud. Now, you'll notice I refer to this as IP telephony. It's not VoIP, it's not voice on IP, which is generally associated with a sort of poor quality over-the-top service. This is a telephony service as you know and understand today, but is delivered using internet protocols. Now, the first thing that happens is you've got a service like that, you can start merging your data functions into your telephony functions. So you have a client on your desktop, and you can start to do things like when a call comes in, if you want to divert it to Message Bank, you just click your mouse on the screen and push it across. If you want to make a call, you dial using your directory. You type in the name rather than the number of the person. If you want to set up a remote office, like you want to work at home for the day, you simply go to your client and set up the number that will now become your office number, and it will ring that number instead of your normal number. Or you may, like I do, because I'm out and about all the time, is I may want my mobile phone to ring simultaneously with my desk phone because I'm not quite sure where I'm going to be, and merge that into a single voicemail box. The other thing about merging that desktop PC environment with your computing, with your telephony environment is that you can start to enrich the overall communication process. This is a way where we can be sitting at our desks and be able to share documents and to be able to interchange and annotate, draw pointers around the screen and so on. The other thing is that we can share data and get it from anywhere. So I can get my data from my mobile, my laptop, my desktop, wherever I happen to be, and we're all sharing the same data simultaneously. And then the third thing that's happening is video is starting to take off. Video calling, and I'll come back to this in a moment, video calling is becoming a key mechanism for communication in the business and in the personal environment as well. The cloud computing, the first thing it's going to do is going to change your cost structures because it's going to allow you to pay for what you need. It's going to avoid you having to take access to CapEx, which you could use for other purposes. And the other thing is it gives you access as a smaller business to capabilities that are normally only reserved for the top 100 enterprises in the past. Now anyone can get access to those same capabilities, and I'll come back to that. The other thing about businesses today is they do fluctuate in their capacity dramatically. So people have peak times. In the dot-com world, they're businesses that grow incredibly quickly. They start off needing one server today and within 3 weeks need 3,000 servers. The cloud enables you to scale up and down according to need. So if you have a Christmas rush and you need to add another 100 servers to your infrastructure, you can do that in a way that you can't possibly do through your own data centers, because with a data center, you've got to provision it in a traditional way according to projected need. With a cloud environment, you just provision it up and down dynamically according to the requirements. So I recognize that people are nervous about this step into the cloud. It's no point pretending that you're all going to agree with me and that it's inevitable. But there are valid reasons for that. You're concerned about costs of migration. You're concerned about learning new ways of doing things. One of the things that I get a lot is the security issue. But I want to point out that the security issue, for the reasons I've given, security is something that you can't easily scale as a small business because of that people issue. The security of threats in the cloud, I won't say there are no security threats, but they are easily somewhat obscure, let me put it like that. It's like saying I'm going to drive from Sydney to Melbourne because I'm scared that I'm going to have a plane crash. Yes, you may die in a plane crash, but your chances of dying in a car accident in Sydney to Melbourne are far higher. And the same thing applies to security in the cloud. There are some threats, but they're rather obscure and less likely to occur than the everyday threats of things like viruses. And then the final thing I've got there is risks of obsolescence. So people are concerned, quite rightly, about lock-in and being, on a beta track instead of a VHS track, to use a very old analogy, or a Blu-ray versus HD DVD, if to be more up to date. So people are concerned about risks of lock-in. Now, I do want to point out again, that is about people. And Telstra, my team in Telstra is designed to prevent us getting locked into technologies. So we have 70 highly trained professionals whose daily job is to actually look at technologies and to understand whether they're going to generate lock-in for us, and we are able to deliver that same capability to our customers through this type of environment. Security solutions, as I mentioned, probably the biggest risk for most people is virus attacks, and that's a case, again, of process, of making sure everything's up to date, making sure that every time you access, you have the right process in place to protect you. We offer a software as a service solution for that, and also for email attacks like phishing. There's opportunities within our T-Suite. So let me finish off by looking at the future, and Ross has done that very admirably, but let me give you a scenario about how you will directly interact with your customers in the future. The example we've got here is a guy sitting watching TV, and he's watching a symphony orchestra. We know who he is because he's connected to our broadband TV service. We know his demographic, we know and we know what he's doing. He's watching a symphony orchestra. We know he's an old guy, he's probably like me, going deaf, and he probably needs a better sound system. So you pop up on the screen a thing saying, hey, we've got a great deal on a really good sound system. So he clicks his remote control, says, I'm interested, tell me about it. Pauses his TV, moves over to the ad, says, if you buy now, you can get a 25% discount on installation. Would you like to speak to someone about that? He says yes by clicking his remote control again, and he's connected to an agent who's connected to him via video, so he can see the person getting a more personal touch back into it. And he does the deal with the agent, who then needs to fulfill it. So if I switch to the agent's view, the agent's got his screen in front of him. He may have said to the customer, can we open a video conversation two ways so that I can see you for that greater intimacy? He knows where the customer lives, and he knows the calendar and location of all his installers. And he's able to say, okay, I've got an installer within the region who can do the installation in half an hour's time. Will you be at home to take that installation? So that's going to be a very different way of getting at customers, because you're actually getting at people who are interested in what you have to say at the time they're interested, not sometime when you're not just pushing some random ad at you. That's pretty much it. The message is you will succumb, you will go into the cloud. It'll drive your efficiency in your businesses, but most importantly, it will enable you to get that collaboration, which, as Ross pointed out, was critical to the future, in which the way you run your businesses will enable you to get that efficiency, and it'll enable you to connect better with your customers so that your business grows. Thank you.